Hi, everybody, and welcome into the Just Listen the First Time podcast. This is episode 1 for us. My name is Mark, and I'm here with Casey and Fletcher, and we just want to thank you for listening in and checking out what we have to say about a couple of things. And we're going to introduce ourselves here a little bit so that you can get to know who you're listening to. So, like I said, my name is Mark, and I am a 3rd grade teacher. I've been teaching 3rd grade for 9 years. That's been my entire teaching career. Haven't really bounced around to any other grade. So as far as teaching goes, 3rd grade is where I've been at. However, I have coached both at the high school and varsity level as well as the middle school level. So I've got some experience at all the different levels of kids and teaching and all of that good stuff. And so then I'm going to pass it along here to Casey to introduce herself.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. As Mark said, I'm Casey, and I've been teaching for 11 years, and I've taught mostly 3rd grade, 1 year in 4th grade, and just really just enjoyed those years. And then also I have a degree in early childhood education, elementary education, and I've dabbled in some coaching, but I had to stop because I had a family. So that's where I'm at.
Perfect.
Fletcher.
All right, I'm Fletcher. I've been teaching for 9 years as well, same as Mark. But I taught for 2 years at a different school in the middle of nowhere, North Dakota. I taught a 5th and 6th grade combo class there. Moved here with these guys. Taught 5th grade for 1 year. Taught 3rd grade for 5 years?
Yeah, I think so.
And then I looped up to 4th grade with my class this year. So right now that's been a...
checks out, right?
Yeah, I think so. The
Looping
math is
buddies.
mathing. Yeah. Casey and I here are looping buddies, so I'll probably go back to 3rd next year. She'll bump back up to 4th.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of where we're at in
And
our
I'll just still be there.
Yep, you're always there for us, though.
You're always
Yep.
there.
Yep.
And we love you for it.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate that. Well, that's us. That's who you're listening to.
Thanks for
So
listening, and see you next time.
Yeah,
Just kidding.
appreciate you tuning in to listen to us, co-workers, chat about all sorts of stuff. So
Yeah.
I guess the first thing that we're going to get into here, and I'll pass it along to one of these two, but it's why we're starting this podcast. And so we'll all kind of say our reasons, but anybody want to jump in and start?
I can start. For me, I feel like teaching, I've loved it, but COVID, things got really hard. And it's kind of, at times, I feel like I've questioned whether I can do this for much longer, more so than I ever had before. Mm-hmm. So doing this, I feel like it's a good way. Whenever I hang out and talk with people about it, it makes me feel better and knowing I'm not alone. And I don't want to, there's hard parts, but there's also a lot of positive parts that I still enjoy. So I want to be able to kind of focus on the positives while still being real and bringing up things that have been hard for me. So kind of finding that balance, but just kind of being able to talk with you guys, hearing what you guys are going through, and then hearing from anybody who listens, just whether they're in similar boats, and kind of just being able to hear their stories through comments and whatever. So just a way to share what I'm experiencing and to kind of help me continue on and kind of find the joy in it again, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
if that makes sense. It might not.
Yeah, and I mean, for me, kind of the same thing. It's, this is kind of like, we have conversations all the time outside of school at the end of the day, and we vent, we say what went well, we talk about all of that stuff, but yeah, just kind of wanted to start this podcast to see what other people are going through too, and then relate to it and let others know that if you're feeling those same feelings, so are we. You're not alone in those feelings. And so I'm kind of on the same lines as you, Fletcher, with that for sure. So
yeah, I agree. That's where I'm at as well too. Just there are really great parts about our job. But there are parts that, are definitely getting harder, especially since COVID, for sure.
And Casey, this was kind of your idea. She's the one who kind of brought it to us, and we jumped on. But I think Casey, like, one of the things you brought up too is like, hey, we do some cool stuff, and there's some really cool parts of ours. So being able to share that with others, and I don't know, I feel like especially right now, if you were a new teacher who hopped in during the pandemic, like you don't know what it was like before. So it'd be really hard to find joy in your job and keep going. So I think it could be a good way to kind of share like positive, cool things we're doing as well. And
or even for teachers who are our age or older too, because they've gone through. I don't know. It's just so different than before.
We miss the glory days.
Yeah, and it's like unless you've experienced both, you don't realize.
Right, you don't know what you're missing. You don't know what it was like or what it can be like. I think that's the part, is you don't necessarily know. You know how it is currently, but you don't know what it can be like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep. And I feel like there's also a lot of people who have left who now don't know what it's like too. So I feel like we have gone through it, so we kind of have that perspective of both ends and just can kind of talk about some things we hope we get back to. Maybe some things that have been good changes that have happened because of COVID, and some things that we just need to vent about.
Right.
And let people know that we're having those hard times too.
And I think too, just getting out, I think there's a lot of the same discussion happening in a lot of different even schools or districts or whatever it is. And if just bringing that together as teachers, as like a community.
Collective voice. Even.
Yeah.
But even too, if somehow our words can somehow leak out into more of like society even, I mean, that would be awesome, because I do feel like maybe when you're on the outside looking in, you don't see a clear picture of what's really going on as far as...
No, for sure.
It's just not negatively. I think there's a lot of great things that people miss.
Right.
In our, that people don't really know, that great stuff that's happening.
I feel like a lot of the headlines can focus on the bad. And
right.
Sure. Like any news.
Yep. And for things that go on within schools, things you hear about aren't always the good, awesome lessons you had. It's the one negative incident. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, it gives us a spot to be real, as well as kind of focus and accentuate those positives, like just kind of magnify those rather than all the negatives. So the next thing we're kind of going to be talking about here is why we went into teaching in the first place. So kind of the what's your why question. And so either of you want to jump in on that one?
Sure, I will. So I joined teaching. My mom was a teacher, so I saw all these wonderful, great things she did and idolized her and wanted to do what she did. I just thought what she did for kids was amazing. And, but then also just to provide a space for kids that they can come to and they feel safe and they feel welcomed and they, like a place that they belong, and I can help them through just, life.
Yeah.
Right.
Because it really is. It's a lot of life skills that we're teaching. But I also I love teaching the academics. I really do. Like today, I had kids, they lit up today when they learned something. And that was exciting.
Yeah.
Cool. Fletcher, you want to go?
Sure. My why is very less inspiring. I tried to take too many study halls in my senior year.
But you're so good at it.
Study hall? I know. I was so
I
good at
think you were a
study
study hall fiend.
I was so good at study hall. Like, man. So my guidance counselor told me I couldn't take them many study halls. So she said instead I could go help out at the elementary for an hour a day. And one of my buddies, his mom was a 4th grade teacher. So I was like, sure, I'll go to Mrs. Stokes' class. And as much as I wanted to have a study hall, that became my favorite part of the day. The kids were always so excited to see me. If I was gone, they had questions. And I don't know, every day was different. The kids were so goofy and funny. I was like, man, I like being here. Maybe I would actually enjoy being a teacher and doing this every day.
Right.
So that's why I ended up going for teaching. And once I made that decision, I stuck with it. And I really have liked it for the same reasons. No 2 days are the same. The kids are hilarious.
Yeah.
As much, there's challenging stuff, but man, like just seeing the kids that I've had grow up and be real adults.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. It makes you feel old.
It makes me feel really old, but it is kind of cool. But yeah. So that's why I did and kind of why I still am doing it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. I guess for me, sports were always a really big part of my life, and I just wanted to have something to coach as well. That was like the initial reason. But then as I was in high school, I kind of coached some little league football sort of stuff, baseball, basketball camps, whatever. And so I just really started to enjoy kids. And initially I wanted to go and work as like the weight room phy ed guy.
Yeah.
And honestly, I switched to elementary ed. Part of kind of the main reason was like, I just don't know if I'm like super marketable as a phy ed teacher. There's just not quite as many jobs, and so I switched to elementary ed, which is great because I loved working with the elementary age kids when I would do all those camps and practices and that sort of thing. And so I guess my big why, or the reason why I do it, is kids. I just kids are awesome. Kids are a lot of fun. They stress you out, but they do some really cool things too,
they do.
and really fun things. And I'm a big, just like all of us, but like I'm just a big relationship guy. And so I just want to build positive relationships with kids to help them just someday hopefully become good people. You know, like, yeah, I know you said you love the academic stuff, teaching the academic stuff, Casey, and my focus has always just been like more of the life stuff. And I mean, obviously you do the academics, and
it's just not
and
your
you do
favorite
your
part.
best, but that's not my favorite part of
But I
it.
think
You know,
that's okay.
I just you're right. Yeah, I think that
doesn't need to be your favorite part.
It's part of the job you
Cause,
have to do, but it's not
for sure
your
Because
favorite.
part of this job too is being good at teaching the life stuff, so they have the skills to do the academic stuff.
Right.
You know?
Right, exactly. Yeah. And so I just love building those positive relationships with kids. And then, like you said, I love watching them grow up. And one thing that was pretty cool is a kid in my first class ran in the state track meet last year as a sophomore. And like that's cool to see that, you know, like I haven't seen him in years, and you see his name in the newspaper or what. I mean, newspapers aren't really around anymore, but like the online
newspaper.
But it's just cool to see stuff like that happen.
Well, I think for you too, like ending up going the elementary route, where then you coach the middle school and high school, so your kids see you coaching, and I think it inspires them to want to kind of try those activities when they get older, and you get to help them through third grade, and then you get to help them through those things as they get older as well.
And that's a super cool part of it, is seeing them after they've been in my class and coaching them in their sports, whether it's football or golf. But
because when I was, I loved teaching fifth grade, but when I was fifth grade, they moved to the middle school, and then I didn't coach anything. So most of them I've never seen since then. Right. So like you still get to kind of check in and see how they're doing through there. So that's
that is cool.
Yeah. I love that part. I'm just gonna say one more story about that because I'm a storyteller. But it was a couple days ago. I was in the Caribou coffee line. I don't drink coffee, but I was picking up gift cards, and the girl that was working the drive-through window was a girl who was in my first class, and I kind of thought it was her right away. I didn't know for sure because I haven't seen her since elementary school.
And they change a lot.
Yeah, a lot.
Stuff, yeah.
And so I was like, I think that's her, but I wasn't quite sure. And then she came back out, and she was like, "Hey, Mr. Whiting," and I was like, and I was like, I thought it was you, and so that was kind of cool. And then she started telling me what she was up to, and one of her friends that was in my first class as well had moved away after third grade year, and she said she still talks to her every day. And
cool.
So it was just kind of cool to like, you know, like have that relationship where you're like, you know, she's like inviting me back into her life when it's been 7, 8 years, or well, what is it, 9? 8.
Well, I guess 8
technically 8, but
math
it's just like that's what I love. That's the part of teaching that I love, and that's why I did it. So so as far as we just talked about our whys, but what would you say your favorite part of teaching actually is? And so, like, if I'm diving in first, and you've heard my voice for too long now, but it's the relationship part is definitely my favorite part. Nothing else comes close. It's the positive relationships with kids.
I'd say for me, it's going to be like making, and it kind of goes into relationships for sure, but like making school like a place kids want to be. And so I try to like make the academic piece as fun as possible and doing things to build relationships. But I don't know, I think if you're excited to come to school, then I've done my job, because I feel like you're not going to learn if you're not wanting to be there. Like any meeting I've ever gone to that I don't want to be there, I don't know what they say. So my favorite part is just trying to make it,
valid point.
Make it like a fun place to be. And I'll tell my class all the time, like, everything we do is not going to be boring. We will definitely do just like read this, do a worksheet type thing, because sometimes that's part of it. But hopefully at some point during the day you're having a good time and want to be at school. So there's times when I grew up where I didn't want to be at school, so I want to be the opposite of that for them for at least the year that they're in my classroom.
For sure. I like that. Yeah, that was good.
This is tough. I don't
It's
know
a tough question,
I don't know
isn't
what
it?
my favorite part is.
There's lots of great parts.
I know.
I think
There
you should
really
go. I'm not trying to talk for you, but you've
Okay.
been doing some really cool stuff this year, and I think you should share that part because it's
Yeah,
I've been
you've
doing
got
that's
you've
cool.
got some passion.
like what's been
like,
you're so
tell us
excited about.
Yeah, the thing like
It rhymes with
outside.
brie.
Oh, trees.
Yeah.
I do love trees. Yeah.
Because you've really been diving into
I know,
to
I
the
have.
outdoor,
So
kind
like,
of all the outdoor things.
I
That's
think
pretty
I mean, but that's not my favorite part because what's hard about that is I want to get, so I want to get the kids outside more.
Sure.
And I want to get the kids to learn outside more because I think that a lot of our children are cooped up inside and it's doing more harm than good. And
Agreed.
I
Yeah,
mean,
for
this
sure.
could be a completely other episode about,
Episode 2.
yeah, about how I mean, the schools, I don't know, there's so many things that could change, but I do love getting them outside and learning kind of more in a natural way versus like more of a discovery way than let me just stand up here and teach you.
lecture.
And I think you do that even when you're not going outside. I think you do you're very good at teaching them a discovery way even when you are inside.
That's very nice of you to say.
Yeah. Now that we're next to each other, I put my ear up to your wall and I listen to your lessons, and then I just reteach that same thing, but at the 4th grade standard.
Well, I think she said this, so we're gonna say that's what you're just
they're like,
kind
that
of
doesn't make
listening
sense.
in.
Like, well, it's a little muffled. We're just gonna go with it.
Yeah.
I think that when it comes down to it, though, I would say there's two things that are my favorite, and it's a lot kind of like what you said is with relationships. I just getting to know the kids and getting to know how they learn, and it's almost like a puzzle, kind of, you know. And
I hate puzzles, but that
but it,
the
once you
relationship type of
figure
puzzle,
out
I
that
like that
puzzle,
part.
once you figure it out, it's so fun. And I think
for
that's
sure.
why looping is so great. But then also, I really do love the creative piece of our job and being able to be creative with our lessons, which is not all teachers are able to do that.
Some are very scripted and stuck to do
Right.
it this way.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think, I don't know, I like to be able to be creative.
Can I put you on the spot for a second?
Oh, okay.
Can you give us like an example of a type of lesson recently that you've maybe taught where you were extremely creative?
That is on the spot.
Yeah. And I apologize for doing that,
yeah.
but
You're
I
the
think you
host.
just have you've got some pretty cool stuff that is cool to share.
Recently, I feel like I haven't been as creative recently. That might be why we're doing this
And that's-
podcast.
But you
That's
did.
part
And also,
of
you were
the-
around just on vacation, so.
That's
yeah,
true.
yeah, that's
That doesn't have anything
looked
to do with
pretty fun.
creativity.
I know, but I was just trying to give you I had a break. I wasn't there.
Oh, I was gone recently.
Yeah, she would.
A really fun idea right now that I'm going to do in the future.
Okay, so yeah, in the future I want to do this.
Okay. Other teachers have probably totally done this. I have no idea.
Well, yeah, no need to reinvent the wheel.
But my kids are super into Pokemon. And do you
Class?
guys, yeah. And do you know how I just recently learned how to play Pokemon with my son? So there's a ton of math. Do you know this?
No.
What? Do you know how to play?
Yeah, with the HP.
What's that?
Like their health
the health
percent.
points.
Oh,
Health
see,
points.
okay.
And
I don't know
you've
that
got-
much
And
about
you've
it.
got your attacks, and they
Yeah, there's a
it's
lot
like
of really great math.
subtraction, and okay, yeah. I mean,
Okay, so
I
I
grew
want
up with Pokemon. What
I
are you
did too,
talking
but I
about?
guess I haven't battled since then.
Well,
Like card battled.
maybe this is a dumb idea.
No, I bet it's not.
Well, actually, so then I want to have each kid make 3 different Pokemon.
Like make their own.
Make their own.
That's
and they
kinda
get to
cool.
come up with their own attacks. But then they also get to, they put their own health on there and whatever, but they only have so much health to spread between all 3, and so much health to spread between, or attacks to
So
spread
between. I like
all
that.
3.
And
But I
also-
only do health and attacks. I'm not doing any other fancy stuff.
And this is something that you like, a creative idea that you are hoping to do in the near future. Maybe not something you've done in the past.
No, I
but
have not done it yet, so I
Gotcha.
don't know how well
Just
it'll
because
work.
I know in 3rd grade you do animals in the spring, you could also, they'd have to like, what type of animal would their Pokemon be? Like, would it be
Ooh, this is a good
classified?
Animals,
So
is
now
it a
you're
fish. Is
yeah,
it an insect?
exactly. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
I mean, like that's just you don't have to, but it's just like, ooh, here that's coming up.
And so then
Classify your
can these Pokemon evolve? I think that's the question
Well,
everybody's wondering.
that is probably what everyone's wondering.
On the edge of the seats, can it evolve?
Everybody's just wondering about the Pokemon.
Yeah.
Probably not, but maybe
That would
if
take
they
a while.
get really
Next
good at
year, if you loop,
If you
with
loop,
it-
they could
Yes,
evolve.
they could evolve
Yeah.
them.
That would be. Look at this.
Yeah.
Look at this. This is why we're
This
doing
we're doing
This is
it.
why.
Yeah, coming up.
Yeah.
I don't
There
know.
you go, everybody. An idea you can use in the future.
Yeah,
for classes
that-
on
and I actually
Pokemon.
really
Like
like that.
my Pokemon
And
idea.
That's really cool.
And actually,
yeah.
my class,
and it's relevant.
Pokemon, so
Yeah, try it.
It's
Yeah.
it's super
You gotta
relevant.
get
but
the
here's the
little
deal:
pods to
if
flip.
you do it, then can your class can they battle? Like if when you're done, they could battle or whatever to show like against each other something to
So-
show my class, and then maybe we would.
Yeah,
bounce
I
off of
haven't
it.
totally. I mean, this was an idea that when I was playing Pokemon with my son, I'm like, this is really good math,
Yeah.
and so I just thought it would be something fun extra to do. You know, like
Yeah.
you said, to
Yeah.
get kids excited to come to school.
and that's so what,
relate
not
to
like
them
a
and,
rush, but I'm saying if you do it, it'd be cool if your class could show mine,
okay.
and then we could bounce off of it because that way it's
Deal.
like they can see it in action.
Now I really
Yeah.
have to do it.
Yeah, and then it's
Yeah.
less explaining for me. So
And the cool thing about this too is like we being that we all work together, we're in the same building, we're just down the
Yeah.
hall from each other. Like we get to do this sort of thing where we can check out each other's classes or teach each other different things, and hopefully you've got a team that you get to work with. I know like there's a whole bunch of small towns around where we are where it's one single teacher. Is that what we're going to?
It's like a hand raise for when you're
He has a
done.
comment.
Sure. Okay. So Fletcher has his hand raised if you can't see it, but it's pretty cool that we have this to work with
we
too.
are
So
lucky.
I'm taking back
Yes,
my answer
Fletcher.
before because I would say working with you guys is one of my favorite parts of the job.
Aw.
Because
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
honestly think if you
for
don't
sure.
have people like this where you can
Can
go
I
to
take
for
back
ideas,
mine too?
Yeah, because it's just like it is true. Like if I
Relationships.
Yeah.
but with coworkers. 'cause-
Yeah.
relationships with kids as well as coworkers. Because
Yeah.
I know for me,
That's a
coming out of
huge
college,
thing.
I was like, I had an awesome student teaching experience with the person that was supervising me, but I just remember thinking, man, like these PLCs and things like that didn't seem very fun, and I was like, is that really what I want to do? And so even coming into teaching, I was like, I'm gonna give it a year, and if
See
I
how it
like
goes.
it, I'll keep going. If I don't, I'll find something else to do. And I came into a team Casey was on it, and we had 2 others with us, and that's what made me stay. Like that, it was the relationships with my coworkers and the kids too, but having other adults there that actually cared about you and wanted to
Yeah.
help and
Yeah.
and wanted to listen to what you had to say was something that kept me here.
And see,
you
like
know?
I was kind of the opposite. Going to that small town, I was 5th and 6th grade. I was
Yeah.
the only 5th and 6th grade teacher, so I had nobody to go to for direct ideas. Like I
Yeah.
didn't meet with anybody like we do.
Oh, that's hard.
But I had like
is.
Mary, she's a 4th grade teacher, and Denise in 3rd. They were awesome. Like I could go to and ask them questions. So like felt supported, but it wasn't the same grade. So
Right.
you like it's so when you have direct teammates who you can talk to and plan with or bounce ideas off each other, it makes a lot of difference.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's-
Like that Pokemon idea.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
If that totally just turned into something.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And once you say it, you have to do it now.
I know.
So you're stuck.
Yep, we're holding you to it.
Yep, I have
was
it.
planning on it.
Audio
I think
recording
I will.
anyways. Yeah.
I will.
No, that your
We'll
kids would
try it
love
out.
it. It would be great for math. They'd be excited. And then I can take yours and bounce off of it.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
that.
I'm thinking that, that's a good thing to do during MCA time.
Sure.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Relieve the stress a little
Stress,
bit
yeah.
for sure. MCA is our statewide
Standardized
standardized test.
testing. There's another episode.
We could talk for hours about that. But just to, as we kind of wrap things up here, because we appreciate you listening, and and listening to us bounce ideas off each other and say what our favorite things are and that sort of thing. To wrap it up, we are going to end with this question. Are you guys ready?
Ready, because I don't know what it is.
I don't know.
What is one thing about the education world that you would choose to change if you could? Either of you want to jump in on that?
Sure. Okay, I have a few. I would go... Just,
It's a long laundry
and
list.
I will say,
Yeah,
this
I'm
is
just kidding.
systemic issues, not our school. These
For
are
sure.
system-wide. Pay, especially as a new teacher, struggling paycheck to paycheck is not a great way to keep teachers here. Class size, I think if you had less students, you're able to build those relationships, know where your kids are at. It makes it, I don't know, you feel you're not as drained. You're not giving as much. And
you're
give
more connected. You
are
just
so much
feel more connected.
Yep.
Sure.
And I would also get rid of standardized testing, or at least change it so it's not every year, because you don't need to be testing these third graders at a high stakes test.
Right.
And I guess that's where I will. Oh, and then I'd go like more mental health services and more counseling services.
Yeah, and that's like, I mean, we could use that for adults.
Yeah,
you could
exactly.
use that. Like, we just
That's
need
everywhere.
that
Yeah.
in general in
Exactly.
our society.
Oh yeah, for sure.
For sure.
But if we got out in the trees,
Yeah, if you got in the trees.
to tell you,
Yeah.
Lots of oxygen.
Lots of
Breathing
oxygen
it in.
out there.
Get into your brain. Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
I'm telling you.
Okay, Casey?
Well, Fletcher pretty much just said them.
I know I
all.
stole a
Yeah,
lot.
you
I'm
just
sorry.
did.
I'm sorry. I
Right.
just.
But I think my biggest one, and you guys know this already, is class size. I mean, that one is.
Yeah.
I mean, even days when you have, you have 24 kids, for example, and you have 5 kids gone, it makes, and that's a lot of kids to have gone. But
That is.
But that you're down to 19.
It makes a huge difference.
It's
You
a
can-
completely
you can
different
feel that.
feeling in the room.
And the thing about it too is, it's like it's a mixture of the kids who are super easy that do follow the directions the first time.
Listen the first time.
Yeah, listen the first
Listen
time.
the first time.
Or kids that need more reminders or more direction and that sort of thing. It doesn't matter what part of that spectrum that they fall on.
No.
It just
It
is
doesn't.
the sheer size of it makes
Yeah.
a huge difference.
And not only for us, the kids notice. Like
Right.
they're like, you have more room. It's just quieter because less people. Even if, like when they're just talking, if you have 24 kids talking, just whispering, it gets.
Well, and I think I shared this with you before, but also there was one day that some of my kids left for intervention groups and I didn't have as many in there. And before that, I could not tell who was speaking or talking unless I was standing next to them. Not that it was really loud in the room. It was good chatter that they were doing, but I had a hard time knowing who was talking. And when they left, I could pinpoint exactly, so just for management purposes and just for being able to hear them.
Yeah.
Right.
Sure.
Yeah.
Class size is
Absolutely.
huge.
It's tough.
Yep.
So anyway, that's my biggest, I think.
True.
Yeah.
But how do we get there? I have one more thing to add. Is this okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking about this, and I think a lot of it too is, the outside looking in. I mean, we can talk about it until we're blue in the face as teachers about class size, but it's our public and our communities and like the society that really has to really value that and see it in order for it to be a change.
Yeah, and that's actually exactly what the thing I would change is
look at that.
just kind of the perception of education and teaching. It's not that I don't think for me it's not that I don't feel respected, because I've got tons of families who are super appreciative of the work that we do and they show us that they care in a variety of different ways.
Oh, yeah.
But it's just the perception of a teacher not being held in as high of a regard as other professions. And I'm not sitting here saying like we're the best, you need to treat us like we're the best. That's not what I'm saying.
No.
But I'm saying like teachers are the people who introduce all of these doctors, construction workers, doesn't matter what
Any
the job
career,
is.
any
Yeah.
a teacher has helped them in some way, shape, or form to get to the point that they are at with that. And I think, I mean, even if I wasn't a teacher, I feel like I would say, like, that's important. Like, we need to like hold that as something that is a big deal.
Because I think a lot of people, like adults, they can pinpoint the career they chose, not all, but to a teacher, like who inspired them in some way.
Yeah.
Right.
Regardless of what they do.
Yep.
So, yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah. So that's kind of my thing that I would change, is just kind of the perception of it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So.
Good one.
Well, thank you for listening to episode 1 of our podcast, the Just Listen the First Time podcast.
Just
and
the first time.
Just the first time. Just listen the first time.
I think everybody can
Don't
relate.
overanalyze it.
I think everybody can relate to that,
Yeah.
whether in any walk of life. You know, you know, we could just have people listen the first time. My wife tells me that all the time. So again, thank you. Thank you for listening. And if you're watching on YouTube, you know the drill. You drop a like, comment, tell us what questions you have, and then if you wanna hit the subscribe button,
do it.
That would be awesome. So Thank you, and we'll see you next time.
Goodbye.
Bye.